little bit ahead.
Future.
Our power ranking. So I see posts all the time. You see the big headlines, top 5 in the league, SNF on NBC on Instagram. So I said, you know what? Let's do our own top 5. Why not? We haven't done a list. This is kind of a little bit of a throwback to the summer when we had no content to make. We were just making top 10 lists. But this is a top 5, and we're just going to debate a little bit. So whoever wants to start, we're just going to go 5-1. We'll debate after, because I feel like if we go one by one, we'll be here for a half hour, and we don't want to do that. And surely our listeners at home don't want to do that either.
You want to start, Pat, or you want me to go?
I'll go. I'll kind of go on the fly here. Right. We're going 5-1.
5-1.
All right, I'm going to go with 5. I think I am going to go with...
Don't think you know. No, you know.
I'm going to go 5. I'm going to go with the Rams. Rams at 5. I'm going to go with the Steelers at 4. The Bills at 3. The Saints at 2, and the Chiefs at 1.
Okay.
Steelers really took a hit for me this week. I'm not even going to lie. I almost put the Washington football team in my top 5, but I decided not to.
Almost.
Big believers in them.
Just outside.
Yeah.
But I'll take it next. I know the Rams just missed out. They'd be my number 6, but
it's respectable.
They always do.
I know Jordan's a big Rams fan. He's a big Steelers fan. That's why I put the Steelers.
I'm not a big Steelers fan.
I'm just busting
your balls. Jordan's a closet.
I didn't know Graham joined the chat.
Once again, he's not dead. Steelers at 5. I got Buffalo at 4. Those two play this week. That's going to be a fun matchup. And then I still have the Packers at 3. Not that I still have them. I still think they're a top team. And then I have the Saints at 2. Kansas City Chiefs at number 1. I don't think that one's debatable at all.
So we kind of have to generally the same. I have the Saints at 5, even though they're my
Super Bowl.
Super
Bowl.
I was clowning you for that in week 3, but now I'll give you credit.
It'll be interesting. I think like the momentum they're riding with Hill right now. I don't know if it can continue. That's the thing. The way he's playing right now, I don't know. I question whether that can actually flow into the playoffs. I don't know who they're going to start. Are they going to bring Breeze back? That'll be a debate for another day. But I have the Rams at 4. I've got the Steelers at 3. I've got the Packers at 2. Chiefs at 1.
So the Bills didn't even crack your top 5.
I had them in at 6, and then, or I had them in at 5, I should say. And then I was thinking between them and the Saints. The Bills' defense really scares me because they've gone from way up from last year. They're really bad now. They're getting pieced up by pretty much every quarterback, which I don't know. And I always look for teams that have solid defense. Like everyone I listed here generally has an above average defense, and the Bills just don't. So I don't like that.
So
yeah, that's good. I actually completely glossed over the Packers. But
when I didn't hear the Packers, I was like, damn, I want to hear this explanation.
I look at the standings. I was like, shit, I got to go on the fly. I guess I went right over them. I'd say I put the Packers up there. Maybe put them over the Bills. So they'd be at 3. The Bills be at 4. Yeah, the Rams would knock out of the top 5. But still, I think all those teams up there, it's pretty close. The Rams, I feel like, can play up to their competition, but they're also, they have Jared Goff, and he's not good at anything. So it's kind of tough.
Whoa.
He's not good at anything.
He's average at everything.
What's Jared Goff good at? What does he stand out at?
Managing the game. Handing the ball off.
You can watch Super Bowl 53. Tell me
he's pretty good at QB sneaks. He's pretty good at. You see that sneak over the weekend?
I did not, but Jacoby Brissett's pretty good at it too. He's a specialist.
Here's the thing about Goff, though. There's so much talent on that offense, and on the defensive side, he kind of has the same job as a Baker Mayfield. He doesn't need to be outstanding ever, but when he is, they really look when he's good.
Yeah, when he's on,
they're undoubtedly a top 5 team in my opinion.
And I wanted to really give the Rams a boost just because I think their defense sits a little bit higher. I think them and the Saints are right up there in the top defenses because in the NFC, it's all offense, in my opinion, from what we've seen this year in the shootouts. So that's why I put the Saints so high up, is because I think come playoff time, no matter who starts at quarterback, you're going to have Michael Thomas, you're going to have Alvin Kamara, you're going to have your other serviceable guys. But that defense, I think Demario Davis is absolutely balling out this year. He's really come into his own. I think they got him from the Jets a few years ago. So that's the only reason I put them so high. I mean, is the Taysom Hill experiment going to work in the long run? I don't think so, personally. Teams are finally going to start to game plan against that, almost like they did Lamar, because I think Lamar is obviously more talented at quarterback than Taysom Hill. But Jordan, you're going to into my gears right now. My guy.
No, the only thing I'll say is this: so before this week, I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm thinking Taysom Hill, all he's done is run the ball. It was like every touchdown he was doing was run the ball. This past week, he was dotting
Falcons.
Who they play, Falcons?
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't really a compliment. Their team sucks, but
they dominated the Raiders.
They beat out the Raiders.
He was passing. He was passing it like very well, and that's something I don't know Lamar can do. After watching last night's game, there's a lot of passes that were well over Boyle's head, Marquise Brown's head. Taysom Hill, it didn't give me that impression when he was thrown last game. So in terms of passing, I'm going to give it to Taysom Hill. In terms of playmaking, it's undoubtedly Lamar. But quarterback play overall, I mean, Lamar's easier to game plan against.
I mean, you could also compare the weapons, though.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, but other than Michael Thomas,
you got to count Alvin Kamara as a weapon. Come on, man.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Halfback angle or wheel, come on.
But yeah, you're right. What are you gonna say, Pat?
I wonder if the problem with the Ravens is the coaching, is the offensive coordinator, because I feel like they really don't have an offensive identity. Last year it was rushing the ball a ton. I mean, they still threw for 35 touchdowns, but now it's just like, I feel like it's just like they go game by game, play by play, and just see whatever the hell works.
Yeah.
There's no real method to it, I feel like.
One thing I don't get with the Ravens is J.K. Dobbins. He's been pretty good pretty much all year. He had the COVID thing the past couple weeks, but previously when he got his carries, he did good with them. Mm-hmm. Last week, week 12, he got like 15-ish carries, like 80 yards or something, a touchdown. People were thinking, all right, that was his breakout game. Here he comes. And then they go and give Mark Ingram 6 carries. They give Gus Edwards 7 carries. Granted, Dobbins went for 12 or 13 for 90 and another touchdown, but I don't get why he's not the bell cow. Why is he not getting?
I don't see why they're doing running back by committee. It doesn't really make sense to me.
Why would you waste a pick on arguably the best running back in that draft to just use him in a committee in his rookie year? When it's not like it's like a Cam Akers where he's another argument. You know, he may be breaking out soon too, but you know, throughout the season, it was kind of like, he isn't very efficient with his carries. And you also have Brown and Henderson who are playing better. Ingram sucks now. Ingram needs to call it quits. And Gus Edwards is like a backup on every team. So it doesn't make sense to me. Their run game is elite because they have Lamar, but it can even be even better with the play action in the option they run. I don't know. I think if they got Dobbins going, they could honestly jump into my top 5 because they could just hammer horrible run defenses, but
like we saw
for some reason
against the Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly. They even though they didn't run Dobbins that much, they still every single one of their running backs was on that night, and Lamar ran for like 100.
It's showing how dangerous this running attack can be. Yeah. Just look, they had that slow start, and as soon as that got going, it slowly built up over time, and there was no stopping it. Defenses get tired after a while, and you're going to break out for that 20-yard run eventually. Yeah. And especially I honestly think if they can incorporate like a no-huddle type of offense, I mean, it's kind of rare to come by. The Bills invented it back in the 90s, and nobody could stop them. Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, that whole gang. I feel like if the Ravens can do that, if they can condition themselves well enough to do that, I think it could be one of the scarier offenses we've seen in a really long time. As a matter of fact, I think it can be scarier than the offense that the Ravens were packing during Lamar's MVP season.
Yeah.
I kind of like that idea, Anthony, because, I mean, you have 3 running backs who are, you know, at least serviceable, at least. Gus Edwards, I consider, like, you know, serviceable guy. And Ingram and Dobbins, you know, they're both pretty good, even if Ingram's pretty old. And you have Jackson, who is as talented a runner as anybody we've ever seen. So, I mean, yeah, if they can do that, they would really just be able to wear teams down, and then they have them on their heels, hit them with a play action or something, and change it up. That could really be something.
Even on like a third down or fourth down and very short situation. You got that read option, and you got Patrick Ricard, who I think is one of the better receiving/running fullbacks in the league. I mean, fullbacks aren't really implemented into offenses now. The last time I think we really saw it used well was, Kyle Juszczyk on the Niners and the Ravens in his great career. James Devlin on the Pats. Shout out to him. He was a baller back in the day. But when you can implement that into your offense, I think it makes it so much scarier because teams don't expect it because it's so hard to come by in today's NFL.
I mean, and one thing I want to mention, kind of straying back to the power rankings, you always hear the saying of like, don't spend a lot on a running back, because generally Super Bowl teams that win their running back is not someone they, put a lot of money into. But if you look at the rankings of, or at least in the majority of our rankings, we had four or five teams that were, at least four teams that were generally always showed up. It was the Chiefs, the Packers, the Steelers. Those three were in all of our rankings. The Chiefs with Clyde Edwards, they're not paying him a lot, but he's a talented running back. The Packers with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, and the Steelers with James Conner. So, and all three of them, in addition, have a good QB mixed with another good receiver. So they've got the trio that we always talk about. How important is that trio to success? I mean, it's obvious that if you have more talent, it's going to turn into wins. But a team like the Ravens, who seem to be struggling, have a talented QB. They have a talented run game, but they don't have receivers really. Marquise Brown has taken a huge step back, in addition to Lamar not being able to throw. So honestly, we always talk about that the formula, like what formula works, and if you're missing one of those pieces, it really brings your ranking down and your opportunity at the Super Bowl down, in my opinion.
No, I gotta agree. I mean, I feel like the Ravens, you can knock Lamar Jackson's ability to throw all day, but I mean, he doesn't really have a number one receiver. Marquise Brown is just kind of, there. If he's the number one option, teams can easily negate him. And in the secondary, whatever. Then you have Willie Snead. You got like a guy like Mark Andrews, who's good, but you need a guy like, if they signed Antonio Brown or something like that, someone to help him out there, or if they had a guy like, I don't know, Brandon Cooks or somebody who's a veteran who can, stretch the field, make plays. I think Lamar Jackson could thrive with that kind of thing. I don't think it's necessarily he can't throw the ball. I mean, he threw for 35 touchdowns last year, but when the offense they're running doesn't really help him to facilitate the ball to all these, kind of middle of the line. He has like four number 3 receivers, kind of like what the Pats have right now.
Yeah.
But I think more often than not, the teams that will win Super Bowls have one guy at least at receiver, at tight end that can really break through and make a difference. And having that with a deadly run game would just, work wonders for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. And I mean, to me, I don't know how you feel because you didn't have the Packers in there in your top 5, but maybe you'll agree with this. To me, it's Chiefs, Packers, and then everyone else. I think those two are the clear number ones in each division. I mean, each conference. And then you can organize the second tier and the third tier, but I don't know. Those teams are, in my opinion, miles ahead of everyone else.
Chiefs, most certainly, I think, they're my favorite to repeat. I mean, I really just think when they want to, they're just completely better than everybody else. Packers, I'm a little iffy on just because of their defense, but they've beaten some good teams. They've also lost to some good teams in the Colts, obviously. I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of tough if they don't have Devontae Adams, or like, hopefully he stays healthy. I just feel like they don't, I don't know. I feel like
they aren't very deep.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like they rely a little too much on their stars, which is fine. In a year where I think the NFC is kind of weaker than normal, I feel like you don't really have a clear-cut number one. I mean, outside of the Packers, you really don't. I would definitely put the Packers in my top 5 if I redid it. I forgot about them, but I think the NFC is kind of a shit show this year. The AFC, the Chiefs definitely are up there, and you got some wild cards in there like the Titans, the Colts, teams that can maybe make some noise. But this is definitely a weird year for the NFL. Just a lot of, I don't know. It's just really weird. You don't have a true
like
pack of teams.
Contenders. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are we, fellas? I had to just go run and do something real quick. Sorry, everybody. I gotta get that real quick.
No, we're talking about. I said this. I said it this, Anthony. I said the Chiefs and the Packers are. They're in tier 1. Everyone else is in tier 2. And I said it's a considerable gap between the Chiefs and the Packers and then everyone else. I think that those
put
two.
The Saints up there.
The Saints.
No, I don't even say that. I say you have. I think. I don't know. I was talking about this with a couple of my friends the other day, and we were saying that I feel like we all feel that the NFL is the most balanced it's been in such a long time in terms of talent amongst teams. But I feel like everyone's here, and the Chiefs are just way up here.
Yeah,
I feel like there's like a big gap between everybody else. Like that's contenders.
You know what it is? It's everybody, and then the Chiefs and the Raiders, or the Raiders when they're playing the Chiefs, or they're both they're neck and neck, but then everybody else is down there.
That's a comedian, everybody. Pat is
it's
leaving.
true though. I mean, it's true.
We have some breaking news. Pat is leaving New Guys podcast to pursue a career in comedy. So this podcast will just be stuck with Jordan and I every single week.
Pat has left the chat after getting flamed by Anthony.
I mean, I get what you're saying, Anthony, but I think there's an argument to be made. What are you gonna say? Go ahead.
Sorry, no. I kind of got it. I feel like there's like the Packers are great and everything, but I feel like the Chiefs just stand so far above everybody else right now.
That's how I feel, honestly.
I don't know. I think their offenses are pretty comparable. I know it's maybe a hot take, but if you're talking about who would you rather have, Adams or Tyreek Hill, I'd pick Adams.
I just had that down. I was gonna, after we went off the air, I wanted to propose this for next week, but hey, screw it, we're here. I was actually hoping this came up in conversation. Who's the best quarterback wide receiver duo in the league? And I honestly think the two front runners are Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes, or Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, and then Rodgers and Devontae Adams.
For sure.
And I think those two.
I think 100%.
Who'd you say?
No, I said 100%. I agree.
Yeah, it's those two, and then everybody else. But in terms of teams, I mean, if you put it that way, a quarterback wide receiver duo is huge. Now that I think about it, the Packers and Chiefs are really one of the same, if you want to say. Not really the same. I still feel like the Chiefs are a little more superior, but that's interesting to think about.
To me, though, Adams is he's so reliable at such a high talent level, where if you just look at what he's done this season, I mean, he's going to break Packer receiving records missing 3 or 4 games.
I think he's the best receiver in the NFL right now.
Yeah, and I don't think it's close, honestly, at this point. We did our pre-receiving rankings over the summer. I don't think anyone had Adams as 1. I'm trying to think who had the highest. Who had Adams?
It wasn't me.
Yeah, you had him at like 6. I think I had him. I may have had him 3. I think I had him 3.
I think he's like 4. I think we probably had him in like the 5.
Let me bring this up real quick. But I think undoubtedly it's got to be Adams right now. It's just
right now, yes.
I mean, the other thing with the Chiefs though is Kelsey.
Yeah, you have to throw him in there too. But then you got to look at like Aaron Jones is far superior to Clyde Edwards.
Definitely.
So then it's like the run game.
Yeah,
it's like where are you gonna? So then it gets into depth. If you're looking at depth, the Chiefs take it easily. But then you like switch to defense. Like there's a lot. I don't know.
But I want to propose this to you guys. I'm just thinking like you talk about a running back like that, and we're talking about offensive talent. And you look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They have their game plan figured out. Full on air attack. Like throw it up to Kelsey over the middle. Throw it a streak up to Tyreek Hill. You could throw what's his name? I'm forgetting.
Mecole Hardman.
Mecole Hardman. You throw him in the mix. He can be just as dangerous as Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And you think they have their system figured out, and then you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell in the backfield, who are 2 serviceable running backs when either A, on 2nd or 3rd down and short. I don't know if I talked about this with you guys. I know I talked about it with my other podcast. If you want to go listen to that, do or don't. I don't really care. And to close out a game when you're trying to run down the clock and make an opponent use their timeouts, they're extremely serviceable for that. So I bring up this argument that I wanted to bring up last week. I had it all in my notes. I had it all in my preparation. I had my whole argument ready, and I got to use it. I didn't get to use it twice like I wanted to. If I know this is kind of far-fetched, I'm kind of going off a little bit. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get their stuff figured out, they can be a lot more dangerous than the Kansas City Chiefs offense.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I might not, thank you.
I won't
Thank
even lie.
you.
When I heard that they were signing Antonio Brown, I put a bet down on them to win the Super Bowl.
I mean, that's still.
I think I got to check on it. It's like 10 for like 110. So I mean, that's not bad.
Here's the thing. Like, if you're looking at scratch stats, just look at talent. There's an argument to be made that Evans, Godwin, and AB are all at least top 15 receivers in terms of talent. I think AB is certainly, just looking at talent, not looking at statistics, no off the field antics or anything. AB is probably top 10 still, in my opinion, because although he hasn't really performed that much, if you look at some of the plays that Brady's missed him on, I mean, deep throws left and right. I mean, he catches one of those deep balls, and for 60 yards, his stat line looks a lot different. People are, oh, he's back, AB's back. So in terms of talent, I mean, if they can get that figured out, and you have 3 pretty much wide receiver ones with Ronald Jones and Gronk, that's the offense we were expecting, and it's not performed.
I'm still not going to write them off. I think
no.
They just had a bye this week. I think they've got time. I think if they had a better coach, honestly, they might be a little bit better. Like, Arians kind of a clown in my eyes.
But there's no doubt that they should be 1 in the rankings, if not 2 right behind the
Chiefs. A few weeks ago, I was ready to put them at number 1 in the league. Back before they had their little skid, I think they were sitting at like 7-6-2, maybe 7-2. I'm not really too sure, but they were really clicking a few weeks ago, especially when they walloped the Packers. Like,
yeah,
you got to remember that
yeah.
The Packers, and that's probably the matchup the Packers don't really want if they end up getting the 2 seed. They're still a very dangerous team, and their defense, though it hasn't been good recently, it's still got great playmaking ability.
And I'm just thinking out loud here. The reason the Bucs aren't successful is because they don't know what they want to do on offense. Do they want to run the ball? Do they want to do an air attack like the Chiefs do? Do they want to run the play action? Or do they just want to run a West Coast style, which I think would honestly be the best thing for them, with the occasional bomb to a guy like Mike Evans? Because when you have, like, this is still crazy for me to say, you have Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski. That's the big 3 in like Madden 16 that you're building your team with. and Tom Brady, of course.
Yeah.
And you're building your team around that. You have that to work with as an offense. You want to throw up the air raid, but when you have guys like Antonio Brown who can make plays after the catch, and Chris Godwin as well, why wouldn't you run a West Coast style? Rely on the short passes and rely on your receivers to make the plays. And then on the flip side, you have Rob Gronkowski and Mike Evans, 2 physical big bodies who can go up and get a ball when you throw it down the field.
Yeah.
So I think the ultimate demise of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be Bruce Arians and the power struggle down there. And what do you want to run? You have the option to do everything, but what do you run? That would be my question. Me personally, I'm gonna build that team around Godwin and AB. I mean, who knows how much longer AB has to play? I still think he has some very good elite years ahead of him. So that's why I'm more reliant on that than Rob Gronkowski, who seems to be a little bit broken down. I mean, he is a little bit broken down. I mean, the year off obviously did a lot for him, but one wrong move, one hit, and he is done, in my opinion. I wouldn't rely on that. So that's the only argument I have going for Godwin and Brown in the West Coast style.
I see what you mean, and now it kind of brings up the question. I just thought of this. There's a lot of I don't know when AB signed, what week it was. It was after the deadline, definitely trade deadline, definitely. But it was probably week 9, week-ish, 8 or 9.
Yeah, week 9, week 10, or maybe probably week 8, week 9. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if, let's say, the deadline didn't exist, even though just in a vacuum, it doesn't exist. Would some trade formed around Mike Evans and Joe Tooney work out between them and the Pats? Because if you look at where the Bucs are at right now, their O-line's horrible. I mean, they drafted Tristan Wirfs, and he's been okay, but other than that, I mean, they had that stretch against the Packers where they had like 5 holding calls in a row. I mean, a good O-line doesn't do that. So you throw Joe Tooney in there, that's a Pro Bowl guard. You give up probably something else going back to them because Evans is a great receiver. But, Pats get their receiver that they want. Bucs improve on the O-line. They're not as top-heavy on the receiving end. Now you have Godwin and AB. with Gronk, and a good running game, and your O-line is a little bit more improved. I mean, if you're talking about just trying to get a Super Bowl this year and trying to win, this year, especially with Brady being old and who knows what he's going to do next, that might not have been a bad move because Tooney was one of the better O-linemen on the block out there. And if you're top heavy on the wide receiver core without a doubt, but maybe it'd be too much to give up. I don't know.
If I'm them, I feel like I'm more willing to trade Godwin definitely than Evans. I'm looking at Evans right now. I mean, he really hasn't had a ton of standout performances this year, but he's had a lot of games where he's just had like 2 receptions for 2 touchdowns or 3 receptions, two touchdowns, whatever. Really, really weird games. And I like what you're saying, Anthony, about their offense not really having an identity because I feel like they're almost playing the game of Madden and they're trying to, go deep every play. They're trying to make these big plays, but in reality,
like I do.
If you exactly. Like if you have 3 elite receivers, you have a very good running back. You've got a top 5, top 10 tight end. Why are you not just kind of almost like a death by 1,000 cuts? You can really just drop your way down, almost like dink and dunk. People say with Tom Brady.
Brady's game.
Just ease your way down the field and just wear them down.
Wow,
and when they finally overcommit,
that right there would have been my driving argument.
Right,
I didn't even think about Brady just liking to dink and dunk it.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have been my number one point.
It's crazy to me that you go and acquire that one of the still top quarterbacks in the league, best game managers, best talents ever at the QB position, and what'd you say?
Best everything.
Yeah, best everything.
Best looking
of all time, and still at the top level.
I won't even AO you there. You're not capitalizing.
You go and acquire that, and then you don't build the offense around him in the sense that you don't do motion like he loves in New England. You don't, like Pat was saying, do the dink and dunk slants, dump it off to the running back, blah blah blah. You just continue with this downfield stuff. Brady hasn't been a downfield thrower in maybe since Moss. You're talking 10 years.
I mean, you had Jameis Winston last year, and you were hucking it down the field, just saying like, "Oh, Mike Evans is out there somewhere." I mean,
but it just doesn't make sense.
I really don't get it because you can really just lull the defense into a false sense of security, running the ball and doing some short passes, and then that's when Brady likes to do the flea flicker, the play action, the deep look.
You've got AB and Godwin and Evans running down the field. You have 3 options right there. They can't cover all of them.
It's just I really don't understand what they're really going for down there. I feel like it's criminal that they have all this talent and they're really not using it the way they should be.
One last thing for Anthony, I'll let you go after this, but Brady also he hasn't been good this past month. I mean, people can say all they want about, well, the game plan isn't around him, like I just said, but evidently it comes back to him missing AB on 4 or 5 deep balls, missing Godwin on deep balls, throwing badly timed passes, overthrowing people. I mean, he looks a little bit lost out there. Whether it's his age, we always say every year. But, if he has another down year here and they get bumped early, it's now 2 years in a row where he's looked below average or just about average, not Tom Brady. So then there's a question of, is this not Tom Brady anymore? And is this finally the cliff, that everyone's been talking about for 8 or 9 years? I mean, I don't know. He still, had a pretty good year, but more recently in this past month or so, he's one of the reasons why they've slipped. So,
yeah, I don't know if there's some sort of, because I think I've still proved my point, but I still want to drive it even further. I want to figure out in Madden. I want to take this Buccaneers team, right? I mean, I know it's Madden, blah blah blah. It's not the best thing in the world, but I feel like if I run a simulation of the Buccaneers season every year, and I feel like if I could just change their play style, just change their playbook every time and just simulate it, I guarantee you, if I run the simulation with the West Coast offense style, will be the best Buccaneers team. I'm willing to put money on it.
Something interesting I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at Tom Brady's attempts for every game, and there's been only one time he's thrown for under 30 passes. I feel like when he's in New England, he really wasn't throwing for over 30 passes that many times. And most of the games he's throwing for 38, 39, 40 passes. I don't really think that's a Tom Brady kind of style anymore when he's 42 years old. Like Anthony, I like what you're saying. If we ran a more or if they ran a more West Coast style, more balanced run and pass attack, like short attack, I feel like that, kind of works to utilize Brady's strengths and, take advantage of all the talent they have. Because, I mean, Brady's a guy who likes to get the ball out quick. He doesn't like to sit back, look downfield every single play. He likes to kind of just, be quick with it.
Yeah,